everyone. How's everyone doing? Doing
Good.
awesome.
Well, thank you for having us.
This is going to be awesome. I know we're waiting for one other panelist, but we'll go ahead and get started with introductions with the folks that are here today. I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to take a look at everyone's bio prior to starting, and we have such an amazing array and diverse group of folks that are joining us today. So again, it's an honor to have everyone, and if I leave anything out, please do not hesitate to jump right in and share any other updated facts about yourself. So I will go ahead and start. I'm just going to look down for a second and start with Carly. So hello, Carly. I'd like to share a little bit, a lot about your work with over 15 years of experience in mainstream marketing and a bachelor's degree from Columbia University. Retired sex worker, Carly David originally began her career in entertainment, film, and TV, before transitioning to advertising agencies, and over the years has collaborated with one of Adweek's top advertising execs of the decade, Australia Marketer of the Year, Oscar and Tony Award winners, Fortune 100 companies, and her areas of expertise include campaign strategy, branding, website design, SEOs, and she currently resides in Mexico with her dog, Bodhi, and at any given moment, she could be found procrastinating on the infamous memoir. So thank you so much, Carly, for joining. Anything to add? I mean, that is a robust experience, robust bio.
Yeah, just don't look behind the curtain. It all looks really cool up front, and then you're like, real me? So I'm the founder and CEO of PS Group, which is a full-service marketing agency for sex workers, and we are all either current or retired sex workers ourselves.
Fantastic. Thank you. So I have lots to share, and I know we'll get a little bit more deeper into that 15 years of experience and what some of the things are that you're seeing now. I'm going to pop over and introduce now. I'm going to say Isla. Do I have it right?
Isla.
Isla. See, I'm adding an accent where there doesn't belong. And Isla, or is it Miss Cox? Okay.
Whichever you prefer.
Fantastic. Well, Isla Cox is an adult model, blogger, and podcaster. She joined the adult entertainment industry in 2020 and has been nominated twice for a multiple platform master in the Why Not Cam Awards. Isla has been published twice in Hustler magazine, you better get it, and appeared twice in XBig's Millions. And you've seen Miss Cox's work that has gone viral multiple times on tube sites like XBiz. Her passion for helping people with mental health issues began when she witnessed her friends struggling with mental health illness due to their sexual identity within the LGBTQIA plus community. Isla is actively working to destigmatize mental health and has become a founding member of a mental health group in her conservative community to humanize LGBTQIA plus individuals' experience. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your work and for using your own personal trauma to support so many other people.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to pop over to Dante. Dante is an adult performer who's been in the industry for 10 years and specializing in crossover work, doing straight, gay, and everything in between. You are all in the yummy, Dante. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, and can't wait to hear about that particular unique experience of doing crossover work as it pertains to today's talk around bullying. So
definitely. Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So it looks like I'm just checking around. Oh, there goes Anastasia. How are you, Anastasia?
I'm very good, thank you.
Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Anastasia, and I know that you are coming up as Jasmine Johnson because we are sharing a link. So,
I was having computer problems. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Likewise. So I'll give you a moment to change your name if you like. It's an honor, though. Like I'm kind of cool with it.
I'll change it right now. There we go.
And while you're doing that, and I'm drawing attention to your box, I'm going to go ahead and read your bio, Anastasia. Anastasia Pierce has been in the adult industry for 22 years, an award-winning talent and director. She has focused her entire career on creating fetish content. She's currently working as a studio relations for creators on the clipsforsale.com platform. And she has been known for what it takes to be a successful creator and how to find the right balance to thrive and stay morally healthy in our industry. So in her new role as studio relations, she educates, coaches, and supports creators in all areas of production and has hosts community discussions and presents courses and seminars to help creators grow and expand their brand while maintaining authenticity and keeping individual moral ethics. Her goal is to empower creators through their journey as sex workers in the adult industry. Thank you, Anastasia.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Wonderful. And last and finally, not least, is Finn Fiasco. And Finn, I'm gonna say, I don't know you, but I'm gonna say you're a rebel. And I know this from Jump because I don't have your bio, which tells me you're someone who wants to introduce themselves. So I'm gonna let you do that.
Sweet. Hi. You can just call me Finny. I have been in the industry for 3 years now. I mostly shoot skit type content, comedy content, and boy girl content in terms of the not safe for work stuff. I am a Urban X Award nominee. I am an XBiz Cam Award winner. I am an Why Not Award winner all this year. And I got into Pineapple Support specifically this past year after going through their services a year ago myself. After a certain point where, things were really, really rough. And they were there for me for a while. And I've just stuck with them ever since. And I've had the, benefit now of being, more hands-on, more brand ambassador role and things like that. So that's what brings me here.
Thank you so much, Finny. Thank you for sharing and for being flexible where, in this world of tech, we get it right sometimes, and sometimes we have to think on the fly. And I know that we're all experts here with that as sex workers. Mm-hmm. So, to get into the topic, I just want to, for folks on the panel, as well as those that are watching, we're going to be talking about some pretty personal things, or which may feel very personal, depending on what you feel comfortable with sharing. This is not a fun topic. It's not supposed to be a fun topic. It's pretty serious, and it has a huge impact on many of our trajectories in the industry, how we thrive or don't thrive in the industry. So I want to be really sensitive to all of us here. I sent out a list of questions and topics that folks may be interested in sharing their stories, their tips. And if anything's changed since I sent out those questions and you feel a little bit different now that we're actually here, it's recording, we have an audience, that's okay. You can change your mind, all right? You don't have to speak to anything that doesn't feel good or comfortable for you. And that being said, we're all coming from very different perspectives, just looking at the 6 boxes that are up here. Some of us are, how should I say? Lightly seasoned, and some of us are super seasoned, right? That being said, we all do different styles of work within the adult industry. So your experience with bullying may be very different than mine, but it's all welcomed here. And there is someone that is watching or will watch this recording that can likely relate to a myriad of experiences. So let's, just sort of keep that in mind, that we actually want to bring the diversity of experiences and how we have chosen to handle them or not handle them, how we have chosen to show up in this industry and address this particular topic. So I wanted to start off with that. Second, if anything feels really funky, or we hear a story or a share that really makes us uncomfortable and we need to take a moment, take a break, we need to jump off camera for a second, please feel welcome to do that. No questions asked, no judgment. Just, do what makes you feel comfortable. And the same for our audience. If there's anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, or you need to take a moment, a breather, just go ahead and do that. Close your laptop, close your phone, take a deep breath, ground yourself. And if you'd like to rejoin us, please do. If you need to watch the recording back later, you're welcome to do that as well. Okay. Is that okay for ground rules? We're good on that? All right. So we're going to spend the next hour just talking about bullying in our community. And so I have my idea of what bullying means and what it feels like to me and when I think and or know I'm being bullied. But I really wanted us to be able to define that for ourselves, for each one of us as individuals. So I'd just like to ask, what do you consider bullying in our community based on the type of work that you do, your type of experience, or your perspective? Love for anyone who is open to answering that question to pipe right in.
From my perspective, I create content with my husband. He is white passing, but he's also Asian. So we get lots of pretty wild comments from both, like geared towards him and geared towards me as well. So what I've noticed a common thread of is when someone's bullying me, they are attacking characteristics, like main characteristics about someone. So with me specifically, they're attacking the fact that I'm Black. They're saying that I'm, playing out slave stereotypes. Not the case. Or they will just attack me for who I am. So I've had people go from tube sites to attack me on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram with basically anything about me. So if it's the way I do my makeup, the way I wear my hair, so yeah, just attacking you for any defining characteristics of yourself.
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone like to share a little bit more about your unique perspective?
I mean, I guess I can go. I feel like there's a lot of bullying that goes on, just between fans to performers and stuff. And like everyone will experience that at some point or another, as Isla just said. I feel like there's a lot of bullying that goes on between performers in the industry. I mean, everything from different points of view to like how we handle situations politically and whatever, however you want to say it. At this past, say, 2 years with all the COVID things going on right now, you've got to see real colors of people. And even though people may have views that you don't agree with either how, like, let's bring in vaccines, for example. There's some people that didn't want vaccine and wanted nothing to do with it. And then you have people that obviously fully support them. I'm not here to put my stance on it by any stretch, but you had people on both sides, like, bullying the living fuck out of each other, starting Twitter wars. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we're here to support each other. We are literally each other's peers. Why are we bullying each other about stuff that doesn't matter? This is your own views. And I feel that's a huge problem within this day and age, because it's really easy to get over a random fan that you're not face to face with, someone who's not your peer, someone who commented on a chat room or your comments. Those are easy to ignore. But when it's someone who you work with, that's where like the real problem comes in. That's where like the real emotional strain comes in, because then they actually have a voice and people can build up and all attack you. So I feel that is something that should probably be, taken a little bit more seriously, I guess, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, because sometimes when we think of the term bullying or being mistreated as sex workers, it can feel very focused of clients, customers, fans, the general public, society to sex worker, but we're a society within a society. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for bringing light to that. And so for those performers that are listening in, let's listen to it from that perspective as well. Are we perpetuating some of the behaviors that we see our fans and general and larger community doing within our community? Okay. Any other folks want to share? Yes, Anastasia. Thanks for using the
Yeah, no problem. Of
emoji.
course. So I personally have experienced bullying at many different levels. And one that I've seen a lot is agents bullying talents being very clear about their limits, and agents slowly pushing the envelope or booking them for jobs they didn't want to do. And then they felt very uncomfortable when they showed up, and they didn't want to be they didn't want to not be professional and do the job, but yet it was sort of booked further than their limits were. So agents, I've seen coworkers bullying each other to where on set, I don't do boy girl. And so many times it would be behind the scene, people trying to, get some things done. And it's like, that's not okay. It's if I don't do it on camera, don't expect me to do anything backstage. It's just no is no. So coworkers can do that to each other. Also, of course, customers and fans who would like to see you in different situations that are outside of your comfort zone. They can bully you. I receive hate mail all the time, and I have learned to grow a thick skin, and I'm very comfortable with my limit because I like to wake up with a quiet conscience and feel that my soul is intact. So don't listen to your fans, listen to your heart, listen to your mind. And also partners can bully people in the industry. And that's really sad when people have to change their limits because they have a new partner. So I think it's just at so many levels. And again, I think it really has to do with knowing what is right for you and sort of sticking to it and really making everybody around understand that it's not personal, but it's what will keep you safe.
Thank you for that. Ooh, that one about partners. It's common, but we don't talk about it often. And a lot of what you all are sharing, I see you, Carly. I definitely am gonna get to you next. A lot of what y'all are sharing is like this stuff could come from every angle. That's what it's feeling like right now. Carly, please share.
Hearing all these really great comments and shares and people opening up, their experiences, it feels almost like bullying is basically denying someone their autonomy, like denying respect, saying that your opinion is somehow more valid than someone else's. And my personal experience is that I'm kind of in an odd role because I identify as a sex worker, but I am retired and now I'm in sort of a consultant role. And I love this industry. I just absolutely, it's where, like, despite all the negative experiences I may have had, the positive ones just like way outweigh it. But that doesn't mean that those negative experiences don't have lasting impact. And I like what Anastasia said. Basically saying, like, you have to know what your boundaries are, and you have to realize that a lot of the bullying that happens, unfortunately, is online, and it's really easy to hide behind a screen, and people are attacking elements that most of the time they really don't have any knowledge of. And I made a promise when I got into this industry that no matter what happened, no matter what negativity I may encounter, I never wanted to compromise my character and my integrity. And it gets really, really hard because that's one of the bullying experiences I had was people attacking my integrity. And I think that hits really hard when it's something that is very central to your identity. Like Isla, people attacking you because of the color of your skin. Like, that's something that I don't want to speak for you, but like, we all have those characteristics and like identity elements that are very true to ourselves. But when people attack it, there's like a disconnect. And it's just, I agree with Dante that so many people hate us. Like, why are we hating on each other?
Yeah.
So
thank you for sharing that, Carly. And I think, you raised a good point about the difference between those that maybe see this from the perspective of folks hating on just what we do to the core of who we are. And that neither makes any doesn't make it any different. We want to eradicate bullying across the board, but this discussion that we're having is helping us to identify what bullying looks like for folks that are sex workers, and how you may think, oh, I'm just making a jab, or this is, coworker to coworker, but it really does have an impact. Finney, I want to give you a moment to weigh in if you would like to before moving on a little further into the topic.
Sure. So from two different perspectives, one from personal and from fans, bullying more so for me that I have to encounter and that I've experienced is based off of more physical, where the jab that they like to go for is my appearance, or lack thereof when it comes to the standard of what they expect from a male performer. They're like, oh, well, you look like a normal person. You don't look like this X, Y, and Z person that we're used to seeing and stuff like that. And with that comes, it's what they like to call criticisms, but it's just straight up bullying. So that's what I and a lot of other people who may not fit a certain standard of, looks may have to deal with when it comes to fans. And then on the other side of things, when it comes to the industry itself, a lot of bullying, and let's also call it pressuring, comes from my career choices. See, I work with pretty much women of all shapes and sizes. So with that comes, oh, I may work with this model right here who say it's like a BBW. And then I want to work with this model right here. And this model loves my work, loves everything that I'm doing, but will pretty much be like, oh, well, if you want to work with me, you can't shoot with people like that. Or, I can't have that associated with, what I'm doing. And I try to respect everybody's, career choices and things like that. So respectfully, I'm just like, I got to stay true to who I am and what I do to turn that down. But I get that a lot when it comes to, people in this industry who will just either they'll do it respectful like that, or they'll do it very disrespectfully and just either insult me or insult, more so the people that I'm working with. And it's unfortunate, but it's just something that I've realized throughout the years is kind of to be expected.
Thanks for sharing that. And when you said that you don't look like a norm, or you look normal, that just struck a chord because that's, the stereotypes that plague us in the general society again, and how it really starts to narrow down what people think that folks that are in the adult industry are supposed to look like, or people who have who perhaps market themselves in particular categories are supposed to present. So really that othering is definitely bullying for sure. So that slides us really into getting into some more of the personalized experiences. And this, I know that it may feel, I'm not one for trauma bonding. I will say that, as a therapist, I really try hard for us not to do that. And so this is not, or for it to be just to be a controversial discussion. But the reason why I'm asking this question is because I don't really think that people understand the type of experiences that we have in a certain level of detail and the impact that it has. I do believe folks feel like people in the adult industry must have thick skin, or sometimes I get things like, well, you take off your clothes for a living, so what did you think people were going to say? Almost as if it's supposed to always just roll right off your back, or that you don't have feelings. And again, that is very much in line with the dehumanization, right, and the fetishization of folks in the adult industry, that we are not. We don't have human emotions, and the things that are said and are done to us don't have real life impact. So everyone said that they were open or at least interested in sharing this part of the discussion. So I'd love to do sort of a round robin like we just did. And I'm okay if this takes a little bit longer than some of the other areas of our workshop or our chat today, because I do think it's really important for people to understand the behaviors that they do in the realm of bullying. And when they click off and they turn off what they said or what they did when they met you or what have you, that it sticks with us. So the question is, it's two parts, is can you share an experience that you've had either online or in person with bullying? And how did it have an impact on your personal and or professional life? And so whoever would like to go first, again, if this is something that you've changed your mind about answering, no problem. I'd like you to be able to take your time in answering. So, no rush here. Let's make this the meat of our discussion, and then we'll get into how do we get out of bullying. Carly, is that your hand still raised from before, or are you wanting to kick us off on this one?
Oh, is it still raised? My apologies. I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
But how do I unraise?
Don't worry, I'll figure that out while you did it. Perfect.
Okay. So my personal experience is actually, can someone else go? My nose is like just all of a sudden faucet. I'll be right back. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Anyone's feeling like they're ready to get a little bit more personal? Take a moment if you need to. Okay, Anastasia, please share.
Okay, so for a good 10 years, I've been in this business since 2000. So you guys have been around a long time. And for the first 10 years, I had black hair and I was very thin and I did bondage. And then I decided I wanted to change my look. I wanted to change my work. I had experienced as much submissive work as I was willing to do. And it was just not who I was anymore. I was ready to grow. So I became blonde and I started actually doing femdom work. And I just, enjoy living healthily with a healthy lifestyle, but I'm very happy with my curves. So I personally have gotten a lot of bullying from both producers and fans. It's like, your look is different. You're older. Excuse me, I can't reverse time. I don't have a time machine. I mean, how can you blame someone for aging? So that is ridiculous. The change of hair was my personal choice. I feel like I gave enough of the brunette and it was time for a new persona. I feel like there's plenty of this body of work. If people want to see it, it's still out there for anybody to watch, enjoy it. But for people to expect you to remain the same person from the beginning of your career to the end of your career is completely, in my opinion, unacceptable. It's the same with any sort of relationship. People evolve. Things change, and people around you just have to deal with it and accept that this is me now. This is not who I was yesterday, and this is not who I will be tomorrow. So that is an experience I have personally lived through.
Wow, thank you so much. And again, that's having unrealistic expectations.
It's crazy.
When you're not, it is crazy. It is crazy. And
it's as simple as this. And it's like, it's the same person still doing the same stuff. I mean, as far as being in the sex work, releasing under my line and such. And my personality is the same. My accent is the same, But to expect people, and I have seen people feel really bad about that, about gaining 5 pounds, about chopping their hair. And it's like, this is way more important than what you think. This is, your identity.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I think it's one of the advantages of being in this industry is that you can change, that we can change our looks, we can change our expressions, and to be bullied for what is something that I find to be a huge benefit. Thanks for sharing that. Would anybody like to share next?
I can go if no one else is.
Okay, Dante and then Finney, we got you.
So, like, given the nature of my kind of career, I guess I would say it's like, because it's a lot of crossover stuff. So if you guys know previously, it was really difficult to go from gay to straight or like do it simultaneously. There's a lot of like stigmas that were involved, whatever, a lot of like shit talking, it doesn't matter. But it's like the issue that I've ran in with is, I mean, fortunately people are too afraid to actually like say anything to my face. So like they'll say it behind my back. So like I don't get exposed to it directly. But a lot of the issues I have, like as I've kind of grown as a performer, is from to other people. So it'd be like, I work with somebody and then they're like, people will be like, oh, you worked with him. Like, he does gay porn, right? Like, like he sucks dick. And so it's just like, it doesn't matter if someone were to say that to me, like personally, I can handle it. Not to say that everyone else should be able to, there's personal experience, but it sucks when someone else catches heat for something that you do, for something that they want to do. And then it's like, you have to like, I'm aware at least that I shouldn't feel guilt about that because, that was their choice to work with me, sleep with me in my private time, whatever. But there's still there's a little level of guilt that will stick with you because it was just like, I kind of did bring that on them in some way. And so it's just like managing that guilt. And it's just, you have to learn to move on, that everyone has their choices. And so if you're doing whatever you do in your career, you have to accept what it is you do and you have to own it. And I think a lot of what this just comes down to at the end of the day is like, if you believe in what you do, if you believe in who you are, and you don't believe that there's a reason to be ashamed of who you are, like for whatever reason you're getting bullied, it's just, you have to always remind yourself to own what it is and just like teach yourself ways to be strong about it. Because, if other people are giving shit talk to them about, sleeping with you, then it's kind of like, you're gonna have to get used to that. So it's, just learn to be strong and like talk to them about it if you think that they may have been uncomfortable. So then like you understand how everybody feels.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is really interesting. And I think just for those that are watching that are in the adult industry, just listen to that. These discussions that we're having behind the scenes with other performers about working with other performers. You're sharing, Dante, that secondary guilt or how it has an impact on you, and it does get back to you. So how about that? If nothing else, just know that when you're doing that secondary bullying through another person, it does get back to the source, and it can have an impact and be hurtful to everybody that's involved. Thank you. Finney, you were going to share next.
Yeah. I was just going to talk about limitations placed on me, and then pretty much like being told that I have a certain ceiling and that I can only go a certain route when it comes to success in this industry. And I know a lot of people experience that in different ways. Being told if you don't eventually go mainstream, you won't last. Being told that, oh, you're a male talent or you're a male creator, you're only going to make this much realistically. Don't expect to make this much. You will never succeed at the level of X, Y, and Z, or this woman, so forth and so on. A lot of negative influences that, you can call it bullying, you can call it pressuring, but I'm just going to call it straight up negative influences that I've had to experience. And whether it was direct or whether it was very passive aggressive, and trying to come off in the form like they're helping, it's not. And, I hate that people have to hear that from their peers when they want to reach out and be like, oh, hey, can I get some advice? I look up to you. Can I get some advice? And being told pretty much, you're going to fail. And when you come at them and say, hey, I would like to pretty much do my own thing, to have it laughed off like, nah, this is how the industry works if you want to be successful. So I've just kind of like prided myself and prided my career on proving that wrong. And just, I want to do my own thing. I want to create content with phenomenal people, different types of people, different types of content, collaborative stuff. And I want to do it pretty much going against everything that they told me I had to do to be successful, to be that good influence and show people that you can do things your own way and still reach that certain level of success that your personal, level of success that you feel is where you want to be.
Thank you, Dante. And yes, negative talk and that negative lack of encouragement within the industry, it is bullying, putting that cap, really the gaslighting that you can only do X, Y, and Z. And I think, Dante and Anastasia both bring that up with whether it's, you can only go so far based on your age, or if you start off this way, you can't end up that way. And that actually, before I go to you, Isla and Carly, it was Babe West in the Q&A said this, and I think you guys did a great job touching upon it, but I just want to acknowledge the comment that was made. I'm wondering, since we have a vast range of lived experience to pull from here, does our industry see a lot more infighting because the industry itself is exclusionary, or at the least selective with who we work with, how we market ourselves, what our brand is or isn't, et cetera? All the gatekeeping we do to ourselves. Who isn't a BBW or thick, or whose follower count is good enough versus their work ethic? So thanks for sharing that, Babe West. I find that what our panelists are sharing is very much saying that our industry may be pushing one particular view or perspective, but as individuals within the industry, we have this limitless idea for what we can do. And like Carly said, that autonomy of what we would like to do in this space. And then we sort of get knocked along the way. But also hearing from the folks here who are in 20 years plus, 10, 15, 20 years plus, those knocks are not going to take us out, right? So love to hear from you, Isla and Carly, a little bit more intimately about your experience with bullying and how it's had an impact on your personal and professional career.
Okay, so I kind of described the kind of bullying that I experienced on tube sites. But one specific type of bullying that I've also experienced, which is very just kind of strange to me, is I'm a cisgender woman. I'm non-binary, so I go by she, her, they. But there was a TikTok created about a year ago, and it was exposing me as a trans woman, was what they were doing. And it had like 300,000 followers of people like arguing about whether I'm cis or not. So yeah, I guess I don't really know what the point of that would be. There's nothing wrong with being trans. I don't know what I would feel like if I was trans, because I'm not, and if I would feel comfortable even sharing that. But I just thought it was very strange if it was a way of trying to insult me in some type of way. But I ended up tweeting saying that, if I was trans, it's not an insult. If you're very concerned about it, you should, look internally, because there's nothing wrong with it. If you're watching my content and you're that dedicated to creating accounts, I think it's something that you should probably be looking at, about yourself. And it's really not about me. I'm just kind of like a catalyst for you to try to talk about that type of topic. And a second type of bullying that I experienced is when I first joined the industry in 2020. It was during the pandemic, and I was a lot bigger than I am now. I look pretty different, and I had lost like a lot of weight. I had just had a baby, so I was very big. And I was very self-conscious about it when I first started. And I did not really experience bullying when I felt self-conscious. But I noticed as I lost more weight and as I became more confident in myself, now I get a lot of hate because people have a lot to say about me being confident. So now they try to use anything that they possibly could to insult me or make me feel more humble. They tell me I need to humble myself. So yeah, that's something I've experienced. It's just that the more confident that I've become, the more hate and bullying that I get.
This is so, it reminds me of like the school age days when people say like, oh, that person they just want to be like you, right? They're just jealous, or there's something about you that they that they see a lack within themselves. And as you're saying that, like the more confident and really everybody here, like the more I wanted to express myself, the more I wanted to try new things, the increase of hate. And that's, we're all here to be our best versions of selves. And it's really sad to see that it's met with other folks and their insecurities. So just a thought for those that may be watching and want to put like hateful comments underneath this, or that's your thing, that's what you do. It really is a reflection of you more so than it is of us. Carly, would you like to pipe in?
Sure. This actually, I'm going to get pretty personal on this. I promised myself I would. But this is actually the first time I have ever publicly talked about this experience. A few years ago, because I am a sex worker, we work with sex workers, a sex worker client, there was a difference of opinion and the project ended. And she obviously felt very wronged in some ways. And the whole situation ended up being that she stalked me. She tried to extort me. I was like fleeing my house one night because she was posting with knife emojis. And my attorney said it wasn't safe for me to be in my own house. And I never once commented on I think it was well over 100 posts that I counted by the end. And the only reason I know how many it was is because I had to document it all I don't know what it is, because the thing is like you said, Isla, like the more your confidence grows, people, I guess, feel that that's threatening, maybe. I don't know, but the whole point is that because I wasn't commenting, because in my opinion, like this whole situation played out online, and it got to the point where I dreaded waking up in the morning. I dreaded seeing what I would find in my inbox or what notifications there would be. And I put on a brave face, and you pretend you're okay, and like but the thing is that like no matter how confident you are, it will still hurt, and it can hurt really deep. And no one ever comes back afterwards and says, oh, hey, I'm sorry that I made that like snide post in the cancel culture mob that came after me. And it's like, it was just rumors and lies, and like nothing was true. And it's like, apparently I'm a kidnapper. Like, it just seems like the things that people want to, I feel like, connect in some way. But when it becomes a bullying situation, you're connecting over negativity, and you're connecting at the expense of someone else. I mean, it got to the point where like I really was like contemplating taking my own life. And it eventually just sort of dissipated and went away. But the trauma and the lasting impacts, like I still agonize over posting a tweet, because I just feel that anxiety of like, what am I going to get canceled about? What lies are going to be told? What rumors are going to be perpetuated that are completely unfounded? And no one ever once reached out and said, what is your side of the story? And I mean, it's amazing. Like, it just boggles my mind how much work I've done on myself. Oh yeah, and I was doxxed throughout the whole process. It took me 2 years to finally own it, like Dante said. And recently I came out on LinkedIn under my real name. And it was because I got to a point with the bullying that I was like, you know what? I can either lay down and die, like they obviously want me to, or I could make the best of this situation. Be like, okay, well, I'm outed. I'm face out now. How can I make, lemonade out of lemons? And being able to find a silver lining or a purpose or some sort of learning lesson from all of our experiences is what got me through such a difficult time. But it does get triggered a lot.
Mhm.
And I mean, the traumatic lasting impacts really, you can't underestimate how a snide word can really, really hurt someone to a point where it's unrectifiable.
Thank you, Carly. I'm sure that took a lot for you to share for the first time publicly, and I find purpose in you being brave enough to share that with us here. I mean, really to talk about the impact of that experience to the point where you wanted to take your life. And that is when we talk about the impact, that's the range. I mentioned some people leave the industry. Some folks change their stage name. Some people leave this earth because of bullying. I'm thankful that you are here to tell your side, or to share at least what you were able to share here. For those that are watching, or those that are, here on the panel that have been brought to that brink or are at that point, we encourage you to please reach out for help. As Carly said, sometimes folks do not reach back to apologize, to acknowledge, or even the people around us don't know to reach out and say, hey, I see that a mob of folks, or you're going viral and the comments are not great. How are you? Are you okay? And so for those of you who may be either witnessing this happen to someone, Carly just shared what it would have meant if someone would have reached out. For those of you who may have been a part of some level of bullying, and maybe you've turned a new leaf, now's a good time to acknowledge what you may have done to cause harm. And for those folks that will never get that sort of validation, please do not hesitate to reach out to Pineapple Support. Look on the website for whether it is a suicide hotline or the volunteer line where you can talk to other sex worker friendly folks to help navigate and process that hurt and that pain. Thank you again, Carly. And if at any point in time, for all of us, if we need to take a moment just to sort of debrief from the heaviness that we're getting into, please do. Carly, you mentioned about being doxxed. And for those who may be listening that are not aware, doxxed is when in our industry, personal information is leaked out. That could be where we live, our name, whatever information that could lead our fans, followers, or people we just don't want to know the type of work that we do, our identifying information. And someone in the Q&A asked about this. Greg Busyman says, what choices have you made about what you keep private and what you share with viewers and fans? And I'm going to expand that a little bit, Greg, to viewers, fans, and colleagues. Right? Because so much of what we're talking about, which this conversation is sort of, I was on when we did this, I think last year, and it was very fan centered. And now this year, it seems like we're broadening that to what it even looks like within industry. So I just want to open, this is a question from a viewer. What choices do you all make about what you choose to share to protect yourself? Anastasia, please.
Okay. I've learned the hard way because I'm very friendly and social. And if people want to come and meet me at adult convention, I'm fine. but I've had stalkers too. I've had people finding my address and coming behind my door. It's been not just men, it's been women too. I've had a woman fly across the world to come and meet me. Very unexpected. And, my guards were down because it was different. So I'm just saying it can come from anywhere. And be aware. What I do, and I think it's a very easy thing to do, is I tell people I was there after the fact, not before, not while I'm there. I would love to share my experience, but I always make a point to say that it's after, because I don't want to, if I'm going to meet people in person, I want to be in charge of that. And I don't want to be a victim of the circumstances. So I think, unless it's an environment that's safe and there's security and it's for promotional reason, sure, you tell them where you are going to be, but for your personal life, tell them after the fact. I think that's an easy way to protect yourself. And never tell people you live alone. Never, ever, ever. You have 50,000 roommates that lives with you and very mean dogs.
That's right. That is right. Anastasia, and this is not just for sex workers. All of us can learn from this, right? Post after. Yeah. Absolutely. Finney, and then anybody that wants to chime in on this, we should. Go ahead, Finney.
Okay, simply put, I was just going to, piggyback off of that and just say, be careful what you're posting when it comes to like images and stuff like that, not getting too personal. Like, it's okay to get a little personal when it comes to like, okay, I want to appear human, but let's not get like personal, like to the level of, I'm posting my kids' pictures on my sex worker account type stuff. Even like when it comes to the industry itself, like you got to be careful with what you're sharing. I'm going through some personal stuff at the moment. And a lot of times for me, I do vent like on say like my close friends on my Instagram, but I'm very selective of who's in there. And because, you can't, there's some people, like you said yourself, within the industry where you have to worry about stuff like that, where if you get on their bad side, that might dox you. They might put out some information for people to go crazy over. So you just got to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Finney. Mm-hmm. Isla, please.
So I think a really big safety thing that I got from Amberley Rothfield was I reached out to her when I got a stalker. They were saying very, very scary things. I kind of ignored it at first. And they just kept escalating despite me ignoring it. They're emailing me. I don't even know how they found my email. And they were just continuously, it became, like once a month. And then it was like once a week. And then it just kept increasing in like their harassment. To the point where they were threatening like my husband, and they had very, very specific threats of what they were going to be doing. But as we know, the police don't really help with things like this. So Amberley told me to read a book called The Gift of Fear. And it kind of gives you the profile for stalkers and other dangerous people and how to safely handle them. It's written by, I can't remember his name, but he is a criminal analyst. So he knows the patterns behind criminal behavior and when someone's likely to escalate, and steps that you can take to prevent them from escalating, and also prepare yourself in case they do. Thankfully, it kept me safe, but I know that somehow someone found my address and they cut my brakes to my car. So I ended up needing to move very quickly. And thankfully, I had the ability to, the privilege to move. But it was very scary. And thankfully, I think I'm okay now. But yeah, definitely check out the book, The Gift of Fear, because it made me go from being scared to feeling prepared in case it ever came to it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, thank you. So I'm going to ask our leaders at Pineapple Support to please make sure that that book is somewhere in whether the captions or the comments once this is placed up. I am so thankful that you survived that experience to be here to share that. So we are talking about some major impacts of bullying. And yes, doxing is definitely a form of bullying. I just wanted to share. So much like yourself, Carly, my family is forward facing, and so we have to do a lot of things on the front end, very much like you were saying, Anastasia, like, if we are sharing something, we're already gone from that experience, or making sure that we have security and protection at all times, and that we're doing all sorts of things to block our home address and making sure that our home is secure. You don't want to knock on our door. You don't. That's kind of all, or you don't want to approach our door. Maybe it's big dogs, maybe it's something else, but I'll just keep it there. I do see a lot of sex workers that are engaged in different forms of self-defense classes, firearms training, and also leaning on the support of security guards and things of that sort. So this sort of gets us into a nice segue on if you or a sex worker that may be listening and participating is experiencing a form of bullying, and honestly, I don't see any of this as light bullying or extreme. It all starts somewhere, right? It starts with the negative comments online, and then it escalates. And so I don't think that for folks that are like, oh, well, every now and again, someone says something that feels a little icky. We should start taking it serious at that point. Maybe it doesn't mean we're going to move or that we are going to get a restraining order, perhaps. But I do think that we should start to think about our general surroundings, how we're operating. Like Issa said, how are we preparing for things to escalate if they do? That being said, can any or all of you share someone is experiencing right now at what may feel like a online bullying to things have started to escalate? Are there some particular tips that you would like to share on, and hear me out here, on how they may want to deal and cope and address this physically, mentally, and financially? Any thoughts? You don't have to answer the whole question, just whatever resonates with you.
I'd love to hop in just for a second. I would say, based on my experience, say it, forget it, write it, regret it. Be very, very careful about responses you might make, because you never, ever know, like worst case scenario, it may court of law. And so the more that you are documenting and keeping track of things that really are over the line, that you're empowering yourself with your toolkit, I feel. And it's much better to have that than to not. But I do encourage people to, it's a bitch. Like, it is really hard to stay positive when you're experiencing such negativity. So I guess someone gave me the advice. It was actually the incredible, iconic Juno Mack, who said, keep in mind the spotlight effect, that while it is your world, for others, it's just, maybe it's 15 minutes of their negativity and then they're on to the next victim, which is a systemic problem. But, there is an end in sight. There will be an end to it. And it doesn't have to be the end that you do to yourself. It really doesn't. As dark as it may seem at times. So I just want to commend everyone on this panel for your bravery and for, I don't know, like making me feel like I can share. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I have to ask you, Carly, if you can just jot say it. It was so good, and I want to remember it in the chat so we could share that. I just want to go to Anastasia and Isla for your shares. And I see Kelly is here, like the good admin person that you are. We will be wrapping in just a moment.
That's no problem. I know, I'm just aware that a couple of people might have to dodge off, go somewhere else. So if anyone has to leave on Dead on 10, please feel free to pop your little details in your handle in participants logs, just so the chat people can see it. And then we can run over a few little minutes longer, because I know Anastasia's got something to say. So I just wanted to say 3 minutes, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly.
So my advice is actually to protect yourself. Don't answer. Don't answer bullies. Don't answer those hateful emails. You will do nothing but fuel their fire. They are doing it majority of the time to provoke you. Don't answer. And then, because I mean, honestly, you guys, you don't realize, but you're just one of the people they're contacting. It is a hateful behavior, and they get off on the fact that they're getting a response and a raise out of you. So don't answer them. And if they keep contacting you and sending hate stuff, block them. You do not want to see those emails. They will affect your spirit and your health. Just have it go straight to spam. You do not want to have anything to do with these people. Unfortunately, I've had some good friends who work with some trans performers, and that trans performers was hated by one person. That person was contacting everybody that was working with that performer. I mean, saying things like, I'm going to out you to your family, to your neighbors. I mean, it was really, really scary. A lot of people escalated to the police. The police doesn't do anything. Cyberbullying online, I mean, honestly, I'm sorry to say, but it's really, really hard to combat. So don't answer on Twitter. Just block it, delete it, hide it, mute it. Same thing by emails. Make it go to spam. Just protect yourself like that by creating that wall. You cannot get to me. And that's my advice.
Thank you so much. Isla, did you have a share? I see Finny, your hand is up. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I do. For the mental health aspect, we know they can get pretty hard with lots of people saying lots of hateful things. And when they stick, they kind of like, for me personally, I know they just kind of like circulate in my head. So one way for me to get it out is I write down all the hateful thoughts that like are going through my head, or the comments that I get, and then I physically burn it. Like I make it a little ritual, and I take all the hateful stuff and I burn it. And I imagine just releasing all of that negativity away from me. And I do it as many times as I need to. But it makes me feel so much better to just see that like those hateful comments don't mean anything, and that they can physically be engulfed by something stronger than them that makes them go away. And it just makes me feel so much lighter after I do it. So I definitely recommend that.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you. Finn.
All right, real quick. Like she said, first you have to decide if it's worth responding to. If you decide that it is, that's when you need to, choose between reacting and responding. You should probably respond, because if you react, it's going to probably make things worse for you personally. And once you get past that and you do respond, it's just straight up address what you feel needs to be addressed. Or if it's a situation where you need to own up to something that you did, own it, do that, move on. You can't please everybody. You can't apologize to people individually. You can't address people individually. And odds are, if it's a situation where you need to apologize, a bunch of people ain't going to accept it anyways. Or if it's a situation where you're being bullied, they're still going to come at you. But if you at least do that and get that off your shoulders, move on.
Thank you so much.
I'm sliding back in, guys. I'm so sorry to interject, but I am conscious of the fact that some people do need to get on and what have you. And I just wanted to also put my 2 pence worth in and say, thank you all so much. Like, it does mean a lot to all of us as individuals, but everyone out there as well, how much you put in and open up to us. And it shows the community what range is out there and what we need to be doing more to work together. So I really do appreciate you coming on and all the work that you do with us as well. You are all awesome human beings. And I thank you all for being involved. I want to say as well, we will be back on again tomorrow. If anyone is interested and wants to come back and talk a bit more, then we're always welcome with more friendly faces. We're back on at 10 a.m. PST. And I just want to say again, a thank you to our Adult Work, ePlay, Pornhub, and Clips for Sale for sponsoring the event. If you want to quickly put your handles in the chat, just so if anyone wants to follow you on any of your social spaces, then that would be great. Just so any of the participants that are in the community can have a look. And again, you are all beautiful, and I thank you so much. And I hope we'll all see each other soon. No doubt I will see quite a few of you in LA or Vegas in January, and then we'll get to have a proper catch up, and I can say thank you there again there properly. But again, appreciate you all coming on, and you are all amazing. Be good, and if you can't be good, be awesome. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much, Kelly. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Stay
Take
safe.
care. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.